Oh, we live? I think we are live. I was having a stretch. I am knackered. Welcome to episode 30 of Security Dog Handler Live Q&A/talk. As I just said then, I'm very tired. So I'm going to need some help with some questions, some subjects. There's a couple of bits I want to talk about, but yeah, I'm going to need some energy from some other people to try and help me get through this as well. Not sure what I've come off a few shifts this week, and then didn't have my normal sleep on a Wednesday. I've had to be up and about doing some bits and pieces, so I'm a little bit knackered. I've got football training after this as well, so it's yeah. Who we got in? Chip King. Hi, buddy. Hi, mate. How you doing? You also said yes, 100%. Yeah, I think that's to do with the title of this video. We'll get into it in a little while. What's been new with me? Not too much. I'd say that it's just been a pretty standard couple of weeks as far as I'm aware. Went to the women's boxing at the O2 on on Saturday. That's interesting. It's not the first time that I've been to an event. So I think I went to Wembley Stadium once. I think it's for an Adele concert, and then also the women's boxing at the O2 this week. And I'm so surprised by the lack of search on people for such big arenas. I wouldn't say I find it troubling, but I think it's quite strange. When I went to the Adele concert, it was literally you walk through a metal scanner, and if you're male or you don't have a bag, you basically just walk through. They say, yeah, that's fine. Like at the O2 for the boxing with the women, me and the fiance both walked straight through the metal scanner. Neither of us went off, so they said to me, like, you can go straight through. Fiance had a handbag. They said, I just want to check your handbag, and she literally opened it. The guy peered in, pulled one thing out of the way, and went, yeah, that's fine, walk through. So do you feel safe in them sort of arenas and things like that, with the security giving such little searches in terms of different stuff? Now, they may have probably what they call a random search, which they'll pull random people out of the line for a further search, I think. But that's not the first time I've been to these arenas where the security is literally just, you open your bag, they pull one thing out of the way and say, yeah, that's fine, you can carry on walking through. It's as if they've just ticked a box to say, we checked that bag. So although that's not security dog handling, that's obviously security guarding or like security. I find it quite strange in these massive arenas that there's not more searches or more random pat downs, even of like males and things like that. I didn't see any male go through the scanner that didn't set off the beeper that was just randomly patted down anyway. So I find that quite strange. Some people may not. Some people may think that what they do is enough. But I think other than the random selected searches that they do, I feel like they should be doing a little bit more, especially for massive arenas and different things like that. But yeah, so that was Saturday. Other than that, not a lot's been going on. The dog's good. We went to training the other week. Again, quite annoying that we went training and it was only me that turned up. Now, for Terry, he's coming not near the end, but I think that's quite a bad way of putting it. But he doesn't have to do this training. He could happily retire tomorrow, not have to do it, not have to do all the paperwork and all that sort of stuff. He could happily stop that tomorrow, and it'll be the end of it. And I understand that obviously I only go once a month or twice a month, or whatever it is, so I don't see the Tuesdays because I work. I never see a Tuesday session, but obviously I see a couple of Fridays, and there's just not a lot of people turning up to training, not making it worth it for Terry. And I think that's going to be a shame, and it'll be a problem for some people when he stops doing it. It'd be I think it'd be a problem for people when he stops doing it. Now there is someone that's going to be taking over and be able to do certain stuff. He's going to be taking over sessions, etc. But then they may not be the same way Terry is, where Terry's he's doing it as a non-profit for him, really. So he's not trying to earn any money out of it. As long as it's not costing him a lot of money or costing him money, he's happy to sort of carry on. Now, the next person that comes through, they may say, well, no, I actually need to earn X amount. Therefore, if he's not earning X amount over the first few months or first 6 months, he might then stop it. Therefore, we then have to go and find another trainer. And I think it's become quite apparent to me with people that I'm talking to, people I'm trying to help set up, is that there are a lot of trainers out there that are not the same, that don't train or have the same vision I have in terms of my dog. And to be honest with you, there's been a couple of instances lately where it's actually annoyed me, because I've referred some people to a certain trainer in that area, or I say, look, these guys seem to come recommended, go and have a look at them, and that's backfired on me. And I felt guilty, although they've told me not to. I felt a bit guilty that I've said, look, these guys seem to be good, these guys seem to be quite popular in the industry, etc. Go and have a look at them, and then they have a really bad experience, or it's not what I would call great customer service or whatever it is. I'm not going to get into naming any companies. I'm not about that. But they're now someone that I'm not going to refer a new handler to, or they're not someone that I'm going to refer to go and do training with. So that's kind of backfired on me, and I don't like recommending companies or trainers or companies, whatever it is. I don't like recommending it once I know that someone's had a bad experience. I understand that experiences can differ from handler to handler, from training session to training session. I understand that, but once I've get some stories about what's actually gone on, or if it's more than one training session that something like that's happened, then for me it's just not worth as a kind of advisor, because I think that's what a lot of people see me as with this. Obviously I do my videos and things like that, but they see me as someone that they can come and talk to, or someone that they can ask to advise them, and as someone that's kind of like advising people about how to get into the industry, or where they can get training, or companies work for. Once I know that possibly that company's not trusted, until something else happens to prove otherwise, I'm not going to refer them to it, because I don't want to keep putting people into that situation. And before you know it, there's people coming around saying, oh yeah, he gave me the same advice and the same thing happened to me. So yeah, Chip King, what it is and does the same routine every training session, really doesn't change it, is what annoys a lot of people. I assume you mean in terms of Terry's training sessions. I would disagree. I say what it does is does the same routine in every training session. I would disagree in that, is because if I turned around to Terry and said, I want to do article search, we will do article search. If I say that, oh, I want to do sleeve work, we'll do sleeve work. If I come up with a scenario and said, look, I want to do this, we'll do it. So I don't think it's a case of Terry has, right, we're going to do the same thing every session. If all you're going to do in terms of training sessions, if all you're going to do is just turn up and do whatever they tell you to do, or only do the scenarios that they put forward, then you can't complain if a trainer is doing the same thing. Now, I know you, Chip, and I hope you don't take this personally. I'm sure you won't, but you know Terry. If you ask Terry if we can do something, you know that Terry's going to do it. If I turn around to Terry and said, right, I want to do internal building search, we will do an internal building search. So I think that if you're just turning up and doing what you're told to do, then yeah, you may do similar things quite often. But if you turn up with your own ideas and do your own stuff, then you will be doing something different. So I understand what you mean about it being like quite similar a lot of the time, that Terry's not like always doing bite stuff. We do article search, we do all different types of stuff. Like I went to training the other day and we done, what did we do? We done our obedience, which Cooper was a complete nightmare with. For some reason, we was doing obedience once, and I had Coop out, and I was just getting him ready to do obedience, and the trainer Terry threw his ball for his dog just to loosen the dog's legs up. Just threw the ball, and the dog ran after it, and Coop went absolutely mental because of Cooper's ball drive. He went mental, and now even when there's not a ball around, Cooper absolutely hates Ash. So we done obedience. Look, Cooper does do it, but it's a little bit more chaotic than if it was just me with another handler and their dog, where Cooper wouldn't have that relationship with the other dog. So we done obedience, then we done a patrol, and then we went back in, and I just turned around to Terry and said, right, I'm going to go and get Coop, going to come in, I'm going to do some agility. So I went out, got Coop, brought him in. So there was me and Terry sitting in the classroom stroke agility room, and I let Coop off the lead. Then we just started doing agility work. And then once I'd done sort of agility work, I got my wallet and my phone, sat Cooper down, went and hid him, made the dog go and find them, done article search work. So yes, Terry didn't come up with them ideas, but off my own back, I said, right, I'm going to go and do agility work. I'm going to go and do article search work. There are times in a training session, especially when the patrol training's going on. So let's say you have 5, 6, 7 handlers turn up to one session, and you do it. People are taking it in turns to go down and doing patrol. A lot of people may have more than one dog, so there might be 10 patrols that happen. If you're the second or the third one that goes down, and you've still got 7 people to go down, so let's say it takes what? Make it easy for my maths. So let's say it takes 3 minutes for a patrol training per person. So if you go down second or third, and there's like 7 people to go after you, or 7 dogs to go down there after you, that gives you 21 minutes. So what in that 21 minutes, why can you not go and do agility training? Why can you not get some article search out and go and do some article search? Don't go and do the patrol, come back, put the dog in the van, and then sit there for 20, 25 minutes waiting for everyone else to finish to come back. Like that 20 minutes is your free time to do something that you want to do. And if there are other handlers around, that if you want to do sort of standoff stuff, I'm sure there'll be handlers around that will be happy to get your dog to react towards. So yeah, I understand what you mean. Is like the training sessions normally have quite not regimented, but they're quite similar in terms of, right, we need to do a patrol, we need to do obedience. This session we need to do sleeve work, but that doesn't mean that you can't do your own bits or suggest different scenarios or different things. But yeah, that's my view. I can see what you mean, but I disagree that every training session is always the same. Every training session is different for me, because I might, in that time where someone else is doing a patrol, I might get the article search out and do some article search, or I might go into the agility room and do agility room. Now I know, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying there are other people that will go down, do their patrol, come back, stick the dog in the van, and then sit around for 15 minutes waiting for Terry to come back up, for Terry to tell them what we're going to do next. So we're all big enough, we're all ugly enough. I'm sure we can take it off our own backs that if we have some spare time and we want to do something, we either suggest it, or whilst there's some downtime and Terry's busy doing something else, we just do it ourselves, i.e. agility or art research. Terms. The arena near me regularly has explosive drugs and GP dogs working events. Yeah, at the O2, I didn't see one explosive dog. I didn't see one drugs dog. And like I say, in terms of getting into the actual like arena thing, is I literally walked through a metal scanner. Some bloke peered into the fiance's handbag that basically was nothing. So I just find it quite strange that it's not. I'm not saying that maybe there wasn't more security checks going on, etc. But that's what I saw. Chip King, I don't mind going to Terry, but that's what a lot of people think. Yeah, I'm not. None of that was sort of pointed at you, but what I'm saying is if there are people that go to training sessions and don't feel like they're getting enough, and they're not speaking up about it, or they're not asking to do different things, or they're not doing stuff when Terry's busy doing the patrol training, then that's not really Terry's fault. Like, it's your dog. Terry always says Terry's there to train you, to train the dog. Terry's not there to train your dog. Therefore, when you have some time, 20 minutes, when Terry's busy, you can train your dog. You can do whatever it is. You can do some more obedience, or you can do agility, things like that. So that's just my spill on it. If you don't feel like you're getting enough out of the session, maybe have a look at yourself, or maybe have a look at yourself in terms of, am I actually making the most of that time? Or am I just waiting for someone to tell me what to do? Right. That was good. That was good, though. I'm glad you said something about that, because I think that is important as well. Is that people that complain about certain training sessions or whatever, they maybe need to look at if they're getting the most out of it by their own actions rather than the trainer. Right. Shall we talk about the last couple of videos? I don't even know which one's the last videos was. The butterfly effect and sleep. So the last two videos was the butterfly effect. Butterfly effect video went down reasonably well. It's a van chat. I understand it's not the most exciting thing. It's more maybe me just getting my opinions out. With the van chats, that's just stuff that if I was with another handler in the van, or if I was when I'm driving, and that's just stuff that I think about. And sometimes it's nice just to be able to get it off your chest and say something. And I think the butterfly effect is quite important to kind of understand, in terms of understanding that sort of one action has a reaction to others. So, for example, if I never got Cooper, we wouldn't be doing this YouTube. If possibly even if the pandemic never happened, I wouldn't be doing this, because when the pandemic happened, I had to look at finding another job. Realistically, that's why I got into this. So if I never got Coop, this wouldn't happen. If the pandemic didn't happen, possibly this wouldn't have happened. If Terry had written Cooper off straight away and said, no, never going to happen, and didn't give me the chance to work and do certain things to try and but to try and bring him on to a point where Terry could say, yeah, okay, I think he's got what it takes. If Terry never gave me that opportunity, this wouldn't happen, because I've said before that I never would have got rid of Cooper to then buy another dog to do this specifically. The idea that I was doing this job was so that me and him had a job to do together. So when I got another job, I didn't have to leave him at home. When I went to work, I didn't have to leave him at home for nine hours a day. So, like I say, if I never got him, or if the pandemic happened, or if Terry never gave Cooper the opportunity to prove himself, none of this would happen. And possibly with some of that, there would be people that maybe haven't got the information to be in the industry, therefore they never would have got into this job, or different things like that. Or they might have, through some of my videos, someone might have picked something up where it saved them. For example, I've done a video where I said that I carry a spare chain and padlock in my van, and there was someone that contacted me and said, look, I turned up, I was quite new to the industry, I turned up to site and the padlock was missing from the site. But because of your video, I managed to chain and padlock the gates up because I had my own. Now, by watching that video, he has possibly stopped someone from breaking in that night, or has possibly stopped someone from entering that site and him being in a confrontation or whatever it was. So that's where that's helped someone. But if you look at that and you go back, so that video's helped, but that video is only made because I do this YouTube. This YouTube is only because Cooper got the opportunity to do the job from Terry, And the only reason that that happened was because the pandemic happened and I needed to find another job. But the only reason I had Cooper in the first place was because I wanted a dog. If I never got him, then none of it would have happened. So that's probably very confusing, but it's kind of like the butterfly effect. And I think going forwards, that it's quite important that you share information. Is that there was someone I was speaking to the other day who's getting into the industry, who was doing his NASDO and was speaking to other people in on the course, and he was speaking to them about body cams, and he kind of convinced them that body cams were a good idea and things like that. So now they've got that information, but the only reason they could have got that information is you go back through what I just explained, that there was a YouTube channel. The only reason there was a YouTube channel was because of this. So yeah, that was just my spiel on like, this is where we are, but we've only got here because of X, Y, and Z. And then the sleep video. So the sleep video, I think, was reasonably important for some people getting into the industry, is that they understand that your sleeping pattern is going to be all over the place. They understand that you're not going to get as much sleep that as you think you're going to. But also having a look at it and realizing how much you're going to work compared to how much you sleep. Now, I compared it to the fiance's 8:30 till 5 working pattern. And through that, because I used to work 9 to 5, I kind of understand what my sleeping pattern is like under that. So obviously 8:30 till 5 is not too much different. So in terms of sort of sleep, I could work out roughly how much I would sleep a week. And I think it was 42 working hours and 46 sleeping hours, roughly. And then with the job I have now, I have 57 and a half working hours, but only 40 hours of sleeping. And when I say 40 hours of sleeping, that's probably near my maximum. Some weeks I won't even get that. For example, when I went training last Friday, where I'd normally be asleep at 9 o'clock on a Friday morning, I wasn't sleeping until 2 o'clock. And then, so instead of getting like 7 hours, I think I only got about 4. So obviously that cuts into my 40 hours. So, but in terms of that, I'm working 17 and a half hours more than I'm sleeping, where in the other job, I'm sleeping more than I'm working. But I don't think it's as bad as probably people make out. But you have to understand that with that is that I only work 4 nights a week. So if I worked 5 nights a week, then you can take quite a lot of that sleeping off and add another 15-hour shift. So I think you have to kind of look at it and work out how much you need. I think this all goes back to the wages video of how much do I need to earn in order to live. So, right, okay, so I need to earn, for argument's sake, £2,000 a month. I need to take home £2,000 a month. So in order to do that, I need to work X amount of hours. And then you try and work out, okay, well, with that, I need to earn X amount because I only want to work 4 days or whatever it is. And in terms of it being different between working in 12 and 15-hour shifts, yes, I understand that if you're working 12-hour shifts, you have more time to sleep or you have more time for sort of free time. But in order to earn the same amount of money, I would then have to work 5 nights a week, not 4 nights a week. So I lose a night at home. So yeah, I understand that if in 12-hour shifts that you will have more time off, but you have to look at it. Is it worth working that one extra night if your extra time off is between 2 and 5 p.m. when everyone's at work? You're just sitting at home alone, whatever it is. So you have to look at when your free time is going to be and whether that actually works out for you, because I would rather have an extra night than 4 days a week have more time between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. because to me that's absolutely pointless, because other than taking my dog for a walk around here or whatever it is, all my mates going to be at work, the fiance is going to be at work, so what's the point in me being off between 2 and 5 p.m. So yeah, that was the sleep video. I think that was a decent one to kind of explain to some people that aren't in the industry that want to get into it about what you can expect from your sleeping patterns. Most of the time between shifts, I might get like 5.5 hours sleep, but then there'll be days like tonight, because I'm quite tired, I'd imagine I'm going to be going to sleep around 2 a.m. possibly, but then I'll sleep until about midday. So some days I only get like five hours sleep, but then there'll be times where I can get a good like 10 hours in. But then when I wake up at that midday, I'll be up for 18, 19, 20 hours after that. So if you say, oh, you're lazy for sleeping 10 hours, but I'll be up for the next 20 when everyone else is chilling out and sleeping during the night. I'll still be going. So yeah, that was my sleep video. Some people might find it interesting. Some people might find it boring. I think it's something that some people need to see so that they can understand it or they can prepare themselves for, and a conversation that they can have with the people they live with or whoever it is. Because, as I said in that video, this is a really good job for the people that are in it. For example, myself. So when you're in the job and you're the one that's out in the night working the dog, etc., then it's a nice industry to be in. But in terms of my fiance's side, now she's supportive of what I do, etc. But for 4 nights a week, she gets home from work here and there's no one here. And then she's on her own until she goes to work the next day. So I think it's important that you have a conversation with the people that you live with saying, look, this is what it's going to be. Are you happy about it? Because I think there are certain people that have got into a relationship with someone whilst doing one job, for let's say an office job, because it worked, because they both like doing stuff in the evening. So they've got into a relationship because of one working pattern, and then the guy or the girl goes off into dog handling, and then all of a sudden that person's like, well, actually, I only see you twice a week. What's the point in us being together? So you need to speak to them. You need to speak to the people that you live with or your partner and say, look, this is what it's going to be like. Do you think this is going to be okay? And have an honest conversation. Don't just let them go, yeah, I think it'll be fine. Have an honest conversation, because you don't want to pile all your training and spend your money getting into this, and then within a couple of months, your partner turning around to you and saying, this isn't working for me. And then either you have to split, or you have to work a way around it, or you have to come out of the industry and go back to what it was to make sure that your relationship works. So I think it's an important conversation to have with your partner or whoever it is. Otherwise, if you live with your mum and dad, you'll probably be happy. If you're like 18, 19, you'll be happy just to get out of the house anyway, wouldn't you? So yeah. Chip King, I've never slept more than 6 hours. Well, to be honest with you, Chip, if you didn't work 29 days a month, I think you'd be able to sleep a little bit more. But yeah. In terms of videos coming up, I am a little bit ahead in terms of recording. So videos coming up, I have got Pause for Security podcast. So there's parts 1 and 2 over the next 2 weeks. So the next 2 Saturdays is going to be a Pause for Security podcast episode. For those that don't know it, it's basically a podcast, but it's on YouTube and it's just like a picture on the screen. The idea behind it is that if you're making dinner, or if you're cleaning out the van, or if you're I don't know, doing the hoovering, whatever it is, that you can just put the podcast on, put your phone down, have your earpiece in, or have it on the telly, and you can make dinner to it, and you can clean your van out to it. You can even be on shift and just have the phone down in the side. So there's part 1 and part 2 of uniform. So me and Aaron, or UK Security 101 as most of you know. So me and Aaron are going to go through uniform. Now, it's a really good chat. It's on Aaron's side, not so much my side, because I think you're all quite aware that I'm not massively into like brands and things like that. Like, I just wear what I wear. But Aaron has loads of good information about the right stuff to wear. So part 1 is standard uniform. And in standard uniform, we talk about boots, socks, underlayers, trousers, polo tops, jumpers, jackets, coats, waterproofs. I think that's sort of part one. So we're in part one of the uniform episode. We're just going to talk literally through the typical stuff you would wear, and with Aaron being more of a patrol guard now, or he has experience in terms of working in retail sort of stuff, he does go into the security guard side of it. So he talks about if you work in retail, maybe what footwear would be preferential for you. In terms of like retail, he talks about maybe what trousers or what shirts you maybe want to be looking for. But the good thing to listen about that is definitely about the socks and the underlayers. Aaron has some really good information about what the right socks to wear, the right material of underlayer to wear in terms of being able to keep you warm, but also being able when it's sorry, Jesus Christ. I told you I was tired, didn't I? In that he goes, in terms of socks, he has some really good information about what the right socks are to wear. But then with the underlayers, making sure that you stay warm, but also to the point where if you do sweat, that sweat doesn't go cold and end up making you cold. So yeah, part one's very good, and then part two is sort of specialized. It's sort of specialized uniform. So that's more of like your tack vest. We mentioned body cam in it because for me and Aaron, we see that as uniform. So this is more like tack vest, cold gear. What else do we go into that? It was everything above the waist, tactical belt, different things like that. So part one is kind of like your standard stuff, the stuff that you're typically going to wear as a security guard or a dog handler. And then part two is more specialized, where it comes into, look, this is stuff that we use. For example, snoods, hats, gloves, but not just like any old hat, not just any old gloves, like the right ones to have. In terms of attack vest, we talk about that, about the right ones to get, or and he talks through the belt as well, because I've got no idea about belts. So they're the next two. I do have another episode of questions with my trainer. So I sat Terry down last Friday and just asked him some other questions. So I've got another episode of that is ready to go live at any point, any Saturday. So when I have a Saturday where I don't have a video, that one's going to slot in there. We did do a patrol at training, and it was a little different. So where we train, there's like an airsoft. They use it for airsoft as well, and they've only been there recently. And out one of the back sides now is that they've built like a little like medieval village, and so we done a patrol, and I sent Coop. We've done the first patrol, and some things happened, like some good and some bad. I think the dog was trying to tell me something, or the dog was indicating on something that wasn't Terry. And then after that, the second time, Terry just said, "Look, just go and stand up there, take the lead off the dog, just send him in, and then we'll see how he gets on." So the first one's on lead, where I'll go through. The dog was actually indicating on something that wasn't Terry, so that might be interesting. But then on the second one, I just let the dog loose. He run in, and then so yeah, I might do that. I might make a video about that in terms of when you are at training and your dog indicates on something, go and check it out, because it might be something, it might be nothing. So I might do a little video about that. And then, like I say, the one off lead was a little bit of fun. You won't get to see much of that because I literally let him loose. He runs off into this little medieval village kind of looking thing. And then by the time I catch up to him, it's all over. But so yeah, I might do a video on that. How many videos I said I need to? I think we got 12. We got like 12 weeks of Christmas. Does anyone let me know in the comment section below, or let me know in the chat? Does anyone want me to do another video in terms of Christmas present ideas for dog handlers? that maybe you can show your wife or whatever it is, so that she can get some ideas of maybe something to buy you for Christmas or whatever it is. I did do one last year with some stuff in it, but with UK Security 101, I could do another one. I could get some ideas off him in terms of some equipment that's going to range from like maybe something that's a tenner up to something that's maybe like 200 quid. So if you want me to do like another Christmas gift idea video for dog handlers, so that you can, like I say, show people that video and say, look, I need some of the stuff off this. If you want to get me a present, get me something off here. So if anyone wants me to do that video, I can do that, and maybe upload it like near the end of November, so that during like the Christmas December period, you got enough time to order it and get it for Christmas time. What else? I think that's kind of the video ideas. I think I've got to make about eight more videos. There will be another. We will do another Pause for Security episode before the end of the year. We're a little bit undecided on what that's going to be. We could do an equipment special. We could do a bit more of a fun one in terms of stuff you. What was it? It was like stuff you couldn't make up, but is real. Sorry, stuff you couldn't make up, but is real. So that may be some stories that me and Aaron have heard that you couldn't make up, but it's actually true. And maybe that will be some stories that some people can get some ideas of what actually really happens in this job. So yeah, we could do some episodes like that. Has anyone got anything that they want to say? I think I'm not more or less out, am I? Right. Let's get to the important part of this. Live. So I've been speaking to my trainer, and my trainer has kind of got the wheels started in this in terms of writing to his local MP and putting it in writing, saying, look, I feel like this is what should happen. And I've put it out to the Discord. I've spoken to people in the Discord about it, and they think it's a good idea. And it doesn't come down to me, but I feel like I have a reasonable platform that if I say it, possibly it might trigger some people to do stuff about it. Or if there's enough interest, maybe I'll take it a little bit further. And the idea is that security dog handling becomes its own section in the SIA. So in terms of the SIA, you have door supervisor and security guard. So in order to do the job that we do, you go to the SIA and you say, right, I want to do my door supervisor license, or I want to do my security guarding license. You pass that. Now it's up to you to go to NASDU, NIPTU, BIPTA, whoever it is, and say, right, I want to become a dog handler. And they say, okay, well, you're going to have to go through this course. And if you pass this course, you will become a dog handler. Then you can get teamed with a dog, etc. We understand how that all works. Now, I'm fed up, and I'm sure lots of other people are fed up with going through that whole process of getting your SIA license, going through your NASDU, going through getting a job with a company, going to a site and taking over from someone that isn't accredited with NASDU, who isn't accredited with NIPTU or BIPTA. They've basically passed their SIA license, grabbed any old dog and said, right, I'm a dog handler, I'm going to go and work on a site. And I think it's a slap in the face for myself, a slap in the face for anyone that's accredited to a NASDU, who's accredited to NASDU, NIPTU and BIPTA, that you will go through all this and go through the training and continue your training, going once a month to training, doing your annual, getting reteamed with your dogs, spending the money to make sure you're set up properly, to then go and take over from someone on a site that has a pets at home cage, who has no accreditation, whose dog is not up to a standard, whose dog has never been tested at a standard. And the way in which we was looking at that was the only way that you could do it effectively, possibly. If anyone's got any other ideas, I'll be happy to hear them. I think the best way in which you could do it is that the SIA have a dog handling license. So anyone that works a dog, whether that's explosive, whether that's security dog hand or like GP work or whatever it is, if you want to work a dog in security, you have to have their dog handling badge. Therefore, everyone that goes through has to be tested, has to be accredited, and has to have them standards. Now, from what I understand, is that the SIA or whoever it is has turned around and said we don't want anything to do with dogs. And I think that's the problem, is that when you start introducing security officers having what would be seen as a weapon, governments and things like that don't want to be the ones that are in control of them people. They would rather say, well, no, we'll put that out. We'll put that out to someone else and they can police that. We don't want anything to do with it. In terms of us, they're just a security guard. Like I'm very sure that the SIA don't even know that I patrol with a dog. I passed my SIA. That's the last I've ever had to speak to them. Now, possibly NAS do have to register me with them. I don't understand how that works. But in terms of the SIA have no idea that I'm walking around with a dog on the lead. And I think that's one of the problems, is that people that in terms of when these people who have just got an SIA license and just grabbing any old dog and going onto a site, when they go back to renew their license, nothing is checked against them in terms of dog handling. So let's say that they've had an issue whilst they've been dog handling, the SIA might look at that and say, well, no, as in terms of the security guard, there's been absolutely no reason for us not to renew your license. So I think that's just something that I just wanted to put out there. I'm not 100% certain I've kind of put that over the way I wanted to. But the idea is that the SIA take over the security dog handling industry in terms of making sure that every dog handler out there has an accreditation to work that a certain dog, or has the accreditation to say that they can safely handle a dog. Because in terms of, there was a petition up not too long ago, and basically it was a petition. I shared it out. You guys might have seen it. You might have even signed it. And it was basically to arm security guards with some form of self-defense object. So whether that be a taser, which I don't think it happened, but like whether that's like pepper spray, whether that's like a baton, whatever it is, it was in order to give security guards a self-defense weapon, more than a pad and pen, if they are to be attacked. Because in terms of our industry, security dog handlers are the only ones walking around with something that can protect themselves. And lost where I was going with that. Oh yeah, that was it. But there was a petition in order to do that, and people were signing it and things like that. Now, let's say that they turn around and say, okay, security guards can carry pepper spray. Let's say they do that. So they say, right, security guards can, through the SIA, can apply to go through pepper spray training, and therefore you can be out on a site with pepper spray. And if you're attacked because of your training and your SIA affiliation, you can use that pepper spray as long as you can back up why you did it. Therefore, you're allowed to do it. If they do that, they're basically turning around and saying, right, we're quite happy for people to go around with pepper spray, but dogs. So the list of weapons on the police website goes guns, dogs, knives. So if they turn around and say, right, we're happy for you to pass this course and be out on with pepper spray, why would they allow someone to be out on a site patrolling a dog that they have no accreditation to patrol? They have no paperwork to say that they can do it safely. They have no paperwork to say that they understand how to patrol the dog in terms of when the dog can bite, when the dog has to do standoffs. Like they've not done any of that training. So I think that's one of the issues And that's just something that I was putting over, and something that my trainer wants to try and get in. How that would work, I think it would be a slow process. I don't think it'll be an overnight thing. I think it'll be a case of, if you are a security dog handler, you will work your license, and then when your license comes up for renewal, you will have to apply to get a dog handling SIA license rather than just a security guarding license. So I don't think it's like an overnight thing where they say, all right, from 2023 you have to have this license, unless they do it with everyone that has a NASDU, NIPTA, and BIPTA, and they say, okay, if you've got a NASDU, NIPTA, and BIPTA, we'll automatically give you the security dog SIA license. Anyone that hasn't has to go through our course, therefore making all of the people that don't have accreditation, making them go through that course. That's one way that you could possibly do it. What's people saying? Chip King, it would be good. So why do we need a SIA license if they do not want anything to do with us? Well, because in terms of security dog handling, you are a security dog first. In terms of the dog, you're just a security dog. You're just a security officer with dog handling capabilities. So you are still first and foremost a security officer, but you have dog handling capabilities if you're required to use them. And that's something that me and Aaron want to have a chat about, or maybe one of the podcasts, and that is remembering that you are a security guard first, and there are situations where the dog doesn't even need to be involved. For example, a 14-year-old kid gets onto the site and they're just walking across. Do you need, as a adult, whatever it is, do you need to get your dog out to go and deal with a 14-year-old kid? You may say yes, you may say no, you may say, well, I don't know if he's got a weapon, etc. You shouldn't be that close that they would be able to brandish the weapon and get to you without you realizing what's going on. But I think that's what you have to understand, is that you are a security officer, and sometimes the dog doesn't need to be involved. The dog is just there as a last resort or backup, or to notify you of someone being on site. So in terms of the reason we need an SIA license is because we are security guards. Don't forget that that's what we are first and foremost. We've just taken a bit of extra training in order to have dogs in terms of protection, etc. There are too many people willing to employ non-qualified handlers or dogs undertrained, diluting the quality of dogs being deployed. I get that, and that's why having like the SIA, having like an SIA dog handling license would stop all of that, because then you could turn around and you can literally say that no one is allowed to be in security and use a dog without this license. If you are caught with a security guard license working a dog on a site, if they turn around and say, no, it's my pet, tough. If you're a security guard and you're caught with a dog on site and you're working it, or it's on site in your possession, then it can be something like, I don't know, a £5,000 fine for the handler and a £15,000 fine for the company that he works for. Therefore, you stop that, and that's the way in which you can stop companies employing people that haven't got a NASDU, NIPTA, or BIPTA. Is that you just by doing that? So if the company wants to take the risk and they say, all right, well, we'll do it, because the likelihood that someone's going to come around and check on us is quite small. Well, if something happens on site and the police get called, the police just turn up and say to that handler, right, let me see your SIA dog handling license. And they say, oh, I haven't got one. Right, £5,000 fine for you, £15,000 fine for the company that you work for deploying you on that site. And that's the way in which you can stop these people walking round a site with the second highest potential weapon in terms of the police list, untrained. So that's something I want to put out there. I feel like I absolutely mumbled that. I feel like it's quite hard to get over. I hope you got the kind of gist of it, or like what I was trying to get at, because I feel like it might be something to back. If it's something that enough people say, yeah, I'd back that if something got put in place, then maybe we can look at taking it further. But there may be someone that's on this that wants to be the face of that and say, oh, actually, I'll do that and I'll go forwards and be the face of it. Maybe that'll end up being me one day. Who knows? I don't know if I have time to be doing that at the moment, but maybe there'll become a time where I do have time to put something towards that. But I feel like if someone from NASDU, NIPTU, or BIPTA are watching this, I don't understand why you're not doing it, because you're slapping dog handler, like your dog handlers, you're slapping them in the face by saying you need to be accredited to us in order to do it, but then letting us go out to work in places where there's people that don't have the accreditation, and everyone just seems to accept that some people have it, some people don't. So yeah, that was what I just wanted to say. If you are NASDU, NIPTU, or BIPTA, I feel like you should get together and do something like that. In terms of the SIA taking it over, it doesn't mean that NASDU, NIPTU, or BIPTA, it doesn't mean that they don't exist anymore, because they can become, the trainers can still be attached to these companies. Just because the SIA take over accrediting the handlers and the dogs, or making sure that everyone's kept to the standard, it doesn't mean that NASDU, NIPTU, and BIPTA can't be in control of the trainers or be part of it. It doesn't mean that they don't exist. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about that. That probably made no sense, probably messed that up, but it's an idea. Has anyone got any questions? We are at 52 minutes exactly. I'll give you a couple of minutes if you want to have something to say about that, or if you have a couple of questions or a last question, and then I think we'll leave it there. The next two videos, like I say, is part 1, part 2 of uniform. In terms of the podcast, Aaron's really good in it, comes up with loads of really good ideas on how to stay warm, the right stuff to wear, whether it's hot, cold, indifferent, the right way to layer, to make sure that you're wearing the minimum amount of clothing, giving you the maximum amount of warmth, and also so you can still move, so that you're not walking around with 6-7 layers on. You can't even scratch your nose because you've got so many layers on, your arms won't bend. So yeah, I think that they're really good episodes. I think they'll really help. We are 53 minutes exactly. Right, we'll leave it there then. Thanks for watching this live. There will be another one in a couple of weeks' time on a Wednesday. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for loads more videos. Go and check out videos from the last 2 weeks if you haven't already. And that's for now. I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Cheers for watching, guys. See you later.